Hi, this is your host speaking. I apologize for the sound quality in this latest episode of KONST, where I met Jonas Kleerup and Edin Kjellvertz. We had some technical issues with my microphone, and again, I apologize for the sound quality, but hopefully you will enjoy the episode anyways. Welcome to KONST. KONST is a podcast by Scandinavian Mind about contemporary and future art, the interconnection with society, culture, technology, finance and lifestyle. The outlook is primarily at the art world from a Scandinavian perspective, although taking into account the global arena of artists, exhibitions, trade fairs and other current events. My name is Roland-Philippe Kretzschmar, and today I have two guests with me, Jonas Kleerup. Hi Jonas.
Hello.
I mean, your resume is very long. You're an art consultant and advisor. You work with large corporate clients such as Absolut Company, Electrolux, Hufvudstaden, and others. You curate shows, you develop strategies concerning art, you're involved in developing collections, and you also had your own gallery under your own name many years ago. So we'll touch base with you soon again, Jonas. We're very happy to have you on the show.
Happy to be here.
Edin Kjellvertz, welcome to the show. Very happy you are both the founder of Dusty Deco together with your wife Lina, and you're also one of my best friends. It's always good to have friends on the show. You run Dusty Deco, which is considered to be one of Sweden's most stylish and eclectic design stores and furniture companies. You started this as kind of this vintage concept. It has now evolved into a furniture company. You work together with Nordiska Galleriet on this, and you also explore this interconnection with design and art. Based from Palma, right?
Based from Palma. Hello, Roland. Good to be on the show.
Great to have you. So there are two topics I want us to kind of cover today. And one is the intersection between art and design. And I think both of you will have great insights into this. And then in particular, I'm very curious about Cream. And Cream is a new platform that explores the boundary between art and design, where object categories blur as contemporary art intermingles with avant-garde craft. And this new platform, Cream, is an initiative created by Jonas together with the branding studio Tête. So Jonas, I'm very curious to understand more about Cream and why you're starting this and when it launches and what the role of this platform will be.
It launches now later in May, and it's conceived by me and, as you said, Ola from Tête, the brand agency. And our discussions started, I don't know, maybe a year ago. And the ambition was to open during Design Week in the winter, but the pandemic put it on hold. So now we're launching now later in the spring. And I think the idea came from back when I used to write for Design magazine here in Sweden for many years. And I met Ola through a lot of design events and gala dinners and stuff like that. And we had a lot of interesting talks. And I felt, writing for this magazine, I felt that the design world lacked a bit of contemporary art in their context, in their surroundings. Because I felt everything was a bit too polished. Everything was in the tone of gray and beiges, which is nothing wrong with that. But I wanted to show what the contemporary art world looked like. So in my kind of the pages I had different topics as textiles and objects and sculpture, and showed what the kind of the bold colors, all the different aspects of what art is, and not just paintings on the walls matching sofas. So I tried to kind of to show.
So can I ask you, Jonas? I'm just curious. So you're basically saying that art cannot be beige paintings on a wall, Or
Yeah, it can
I'm
be.
just provoking you
I
now,
mean,
but
art can be everything. That's why it's so fun to work with art because you can get away with almost anything, and it can be anything. But it can be so many more things than just the paintings that you want or or the photography that you hang above it. And it's nothing wrong with that, but just kind of to be able to show it's also this. It can also be this. And I mean, a lot of what people like about the art world is the wow sensation. Oh, I didn't know that. It's something about your mind, how it makes you think somehow. And I think my ambition was just to try that and showing up different artwork I liked. It happened to be I felt there needed to be more kind of sculptures, more colors, more sexy, bold, something more than just kind of two-dimensional works and different type of materials as well. And I think that's where the kind of idea started somehow. And I talked with Ola, who's from the design world. He used to run a watch company called Tid. And he comes from more entrepreneurial kind of background and finance. So but has been based in the design world for many years. So we talked about this, and he was interested in kind of developing the concept. And I like art fairs, I love galleries, and I felt we have a really good art fair here in Stockholm market, but there were some new kind of developments internationally on the scene where they kind of showed this type of more the mixtures of sculptures, design, and art. And I felt the Scandinavian scene was so interesting. So I felt I wanted to kind of to emphasize that and to try to kind of show that in a different kind of context. And that's how the kind of the idea came out. So it's a bit of a mixture of an exhibition, kind of a small art design fair, and a platform to kind of develop. We're going to see this is just a start, but the ambition is that. But I mean, now, I mean, when I left, when the magazine closed down, like maybe 2 years ago, just before the pandemic, that's when the design world started to kind of focus more on the art scene. So so I felt like, I remember the last gala dinner I went to before the pandemic. Suddenly, all the best design of the year, the best space, architecture of the year, all those nominees were contemporary artists. Finally, so I felt like my work writing about art for this magazine was completed. So now I could take a new step further, and this is the next step.
super interesting, Jonas. And before I let you in, Edin, to the conversation, just have one question to you, Jonas. So, for the clarity of the listeners, so Cream is a platform for
Yes.
this intersection between art and design, but it's basically a meeting space where you can experience great design, great art, but also purchase great design and great art, right?
Exactly. We bring in artists and designers, working directly with them or with our gallerists, and we're displaying them with a kind of set design created by an architect, where we try to, we don't make any kind of value what is art, what is design. So everything kind of intermingles, and it's up to yourself to kind of have a look around and see, okay, why is this design? Why is this art? Oh, is that a minimal sculpture? Is it a stool? That's the kind of idea, and it's everything from small scale to large scale, high tech digital technology to kind of craft and mixing everything in between. And it's just up for a couple of days, and we're doing it in conjunction with the Creative Edition Design Week, which is happening now in May. So that's why we're choosing to launch now at this point, just because there's some other lots of design events happening around town.
Okay, so we'll get back to you, Jonas, and explore a little bit also your background and how you kind of came to these conclusions about this intersection between art and design. But Edin, I'm curious. I mean, when we last met, I was actually in Palma. I had the honor to visit your amazing showroom in central Palma. And I mean, at this stage, you're running Dusty Deco, which is a furniture company. You're producing furniture, but the whole experience of the furniture, of those designs, is enhanced by all the art that you have in the showroom. You have, for many, many years now, married, I would say, art and design also in your communication really well. What's your view on this? And, just interesting to
I think it. I mean,
Together with
it
you.
all kind of started a long time ago when I was working in fashion. I was working for a Swedish company called Acne and traveling, all over the world, basically selling fashion. But every time we came to like the whole team, when we ended up in Paris or we went to New York, or we never really talked about fashion. We always talked about interiors or art. Or I had the great experience to work with John Johansson, who's the founder of Acne. And he had always, he's always been collecting art and different furniture. And, so my interest started quite early with, vintage furniture and how to mix up, everything from the actual pieces to objects and art. And then when we started Dusty Deco was more like a vintage furniture company where we felt like it was possible to sell vintage furniture in Sweden. And we started off in quite a low scale, and then this kind of grew and became a nice, what do you say, destination for high-end vintage. And we also started to mix it up with art, and we saw that. I mean, the space kind of, it was really nice with the all cool furniture. We had, high-end vintage, both with names and also without names. That was visually nice, but without adding objects or sculptures or art on the walls. This was just, I mean, not just, it was beautiful objects, but it all kind of just, popped off when you put some really beautiful pieces on the tables or on the walls. And so I think that's where all this kind of started off. And we didn't really have the money to buy any art, so we started to collaborate with nice galleries in Stockholm. We started to work with a girl called Ditte, which is a friend of ours, and she used to work in a gallery called Boman. And then she had a lot of connections, to getting nice art into our space in Bragatan. And I think that's where the whole kind of tipping point came for me, but also for Dusty Deco, like that we needed to have art together with all our furniture. And then now we're moving to Spain, to Palma 2 years ago. We stopped the vintage operations in Sweden and we closed down the store. And we found out that we need to take this to the next level. And that was, we started to design some furnitures for projects that we did. And then we felt like maybe this is something that we should really focus on. So then we started to design our own furnitures, rugs, objects, under the name Dusty Deco. And then we found this really, really nice showroom, which is set in an old palacio in the center of Palma, where we mix our own collections, vintage pieces, and art. And we want it to be, I mean, the space should feel like this eclectic home of a collector, or, a young couple or an older couple, doesn't matter who it is, but that travels and, they have a certain look that, you just add things to your home, which is what I think a home should be about. I mean, you should never, curate it. You add things, you mix it around, and something old, something new, and, vintage, new art on the walls. And if you don't really have a space, you just, put things on the floor. And that's really what it's my kind of this whole mixing the design and art is all about. And I think it's super interesting, and also learning. There's so much things going on. And especially now during the pandemic, when we were also locked down in Spain, starting our company with like trying to source really interesting production for our furniture, which was horrible, but it was manageable in the end. But also the way how you start to look for new artists, or new areas in Europe, or it could be anything, which was really interesting.
So actually, what's so fascinating about this topic is it opens up so many questions in my head. And the question I'm going to ask now is, might close all the doors to all the art galleries in Scandinavia for the next decade for me. But is the role of the gallery obsolete? I mean, doesn't it feel so, I don't know, old-fashioned in the way we display art in this white cube setting, where when I listen to you both, when I also, just look back at the best art experiences I've had. Of course, sometimes you experience art in a fantastic way in museum settings or in galleries, but the best art is usually experienced at home or in quite a relaxed setting where it interconnects with design and the surroundings with architecture, etc. So basically, my question is, do you agree with me that the role of this kind of traditional white cube type of galleries, it does feel a bit old-fashioned, or does it have a role?
I mean, I come from a gallery background, so I'm very kind of pro galleries. But I think when we talk about the white cube, I remember one of my articles for this design magazine was about the white cube, where I kind of showed how, the white cube, as you say, I mean, the white cube is there for a reason. It's the white canvas, but also the white cube is getting less and less white per se. I think a lot of galleries are kind of, you don't need to have this kind of massive white walls. Maybe they kind of tend to be more dramatic and interested, in showing different types of architectural space. But I think I still think the kind of gallery concept, because when I talk to a lot of artists, some of them, they might need, if not a gallery, it's very difficult for artists to get a gallerist. It's very, very difficult. But sometimes they need maybe just an agent or something like that, someone to help them. They need help with marketing and with sales, because I mean it's the art world and the art market is pretty scary, and and it works in a strange kind of. It's a really strange organism that works in its own manners, and it's criticized. It's very criticized, but it's. I think artists, it's you need some kind of help to kind of get through that, to get your voice heard. And of course, I mean, I think it's changing somehow. And I mean, we went through a big change throughout the whole art world during the pandemic, where everything went more digital. But still, I think the galleries, some type of galleries, are still needed.
Yeah, that's interesting, Jonas. Your reflections on the white cube's existence or not, and as a disclaimer, I'm not against art galleries. I'm just trying to explore intellectually whether this traditional white cube type of gallery is a bit obsolete. On the other hand, I remember Edin, when you had Dusty Deco, the big showroom on Bragatan in central Stockholm. You both collaborated with gallerists and curators, and you also did your own shows. And I mean, but we talked a lot about this kind of skepticism from the traditional art world towards kind of design or furniture concepts or platforms or stores that are trying to exhibit fine art. What's your view on this?
But I think, I mean, the gallery space, as Jonas said, I mean, artists, they need help. They need help in sales. They are creative people, so they need some backup with showing their, a solo exhibition in an art gallery from an artist is so important, because then you get to know the artist and you get to know the whole look, which I think is super important. But then also, I mean, it is a lot of a lot of stores opening up and they put posters on the wall and they say that they exhibit, art, which so I think it's a hard, it's a big gap in between saying that you're exhibiting fine art or you're more as a design store. But I think the mix between it, when you can actually do it and get, I don't know, it could be upcoming artists, but also well-established artists. I think that's interesting when you can get good design furniture and art together as an interesting art form. Also, I think it's nice. So I think, I mean, yeah, it's important to have the gallery space.
So how do you educate? I mean, if you talk about the typical furniture buyer, I mean, now you are operating in the super premium luxury space, Edin, but let's say that you are maybe selling kind of mid-priced ranged furniture, and you still want to curate a space where you both have design and art. How can you educate the buyer on art, and how can you, as a, let's say, design shop owner or furniture store owner, enter into the art world?
But I think that was kind of our dilemma, and when we started, I mean, we were we're not having been selling just high end, super exclusive furniture. We also do mid range, and Dusty Deco now is about a mid range furniture price. But I remember from Bragatan when we started to add a bit more, established artists and art. I think the whole the junction between it, a client comes in and they see a really nice furniture piece. They come there to buy furniture, but then they also get interested what's on the walls. So I think it's so much to do with the people behind it. I mean, if you can talk to the client and you can talk to the person that is interested and tell them in a, we had the typical clients that they never went to galleries because they thought it was scary in a way. So this was a first kind of, step for them into the art scene, because they don't really, as you say, the white cube, maybe they didn't know how to go there and how to buy art from an art gallery. So with our store, so what we did was more kind of, we started a discussion, and we saw that someone was maybe interested in an art piece, and then we started to talk about it, that it was nothing scary, or you should add art to your home and remove this poster and put something else, and I think that's what it's all about, to have a dialogue about the things that are on the wall.
Interesting. So Jonas, just curious, based on your experience as well, what can the traditional art world learn from the world of design?
Well, it can learn, I think, many things. Maybe how to be, more approachable, more commercial, more approachable, I think, in a way. Because I don't know, maybe design is something. Art is something everyone has been brought up with. Everyone, most people start, dribbling, painting somehow. You have some experience seeing your first kind of visual imagery, and even though it's still or moving, and art and paint or sculpture, whatever, it kind of moves you somehow. And the same way, design is something you have all around you, but somehow, as we talked about, the art world can be very kind of inhibited and very kind of difficult to get into. And I think now I feel that the design world is kind of, they start to intermingle a bit more than they haven't done before, and I think that's because it's everything moves in cycles and waves, and now it feels like the timing now for design and art to kind of merge more closer. I feel it's kind of upon us, and we can see that with a lot of interest in kind of craft, and the kind of the junction there between craft and design, craft art. And so I think it's an interesting time, and it's a lot. We've seen. Here, why we're doing this Cream project as well is that we've seen a lot of kind of new design art initiatives and galleries, and catching on this kind of trend, and finally getting some context here in Stockholm. So I think it's an interesting time right now, where kind of art and design, starts to merge a bit more.
So we mentioned earlier how Dusty Deco built up this kind of space on Bragatan. We had Ditte Lauritsen, who was the art consultant curator there. Now it's based in Nordiska Galleriet, a furniture store and company based in Sweden, but available all over the world, right? But I have the big showroom in central Stockholm. And both of you have collaborated with Nordiska or are collaborating with Nordiska in different ways. What other furniture stores, design stores, or platforms or companies in the Nordics do these kind of collaborations in the same way as Nordiska? Do we have other examples?
No, I don't really think there are so many. There's a really nice. There's a dealer called Thomas Ekström who deals with the high-end vintage furniture and design, and he also does exhibitions with also the art scene. But further on, I don't know. I don't really know if someone is really adding, art into the interior setting. I think it's quite for Sweden. I think it doesn't really exist.
No, I think the Swedish scene is starting now to kind of to emerge. I mean Denmark, Copenhagen has Etage Projects, who is kind of leading that field, which is more kind of design art. And here we see the new initiatives here in Stockholm right now with kind of arranging things, and the new Kuliss Gallery opened up
Hmm.
recently. And I mean, we had Berg Gallery opening up. They are more maybe fine art, but it started more with more kind of objects. And I mean, I think it's in terms of design art, we're seeing more kind of galleries focusing. And I remember talking to designers a couple of years ago saying that, in Sweden there are no kind of design galleries, but that was maybe 3 years ago. Now we suddenly have a couple of them, few of them. It's amazing. So it's a nice progress because. I mean, abroad, France, for example, and in the States, been a lot of design galleries for a long time. So a lot of Swedish
Hmm.
designers have had representations abroad and sellings their kind of, their more fine art design objects through those galleries. And there's been a lack of that locally, but it's a change happening there right now.
So those design galleries, I mean, you mentioned a few, Kuliss Gallery and others that kind of are hybrid in between art and design. I mean, who are the founders behind these galleries? Do they have a different profile from the typical gallerists that you would find in the art space?
I think it's a bit of a mixture of both. Some of them come from collecting background. I mean, we have Odem Gallery here in Stockholm, which is kind of
Hmm.
focusing on craft mainly and ceramics, very good. And I think it's an arranging thing. They come from, I mean, they both of their founders, I think, come from background in music somehow. And Kuliss as well. I think it's different, but the same thing with the art world, gallerists. It's the same thing there. You have some gallerists are collectors, some gallerists are curators, and some gallerists are artists, and they have a very different approach on the art scene.
So why try to build this cream platform instead of, let's say, infuse design into the next market art fair? Why build a separate platform?
I think it's just a kind of it's more like an experiment, to see what can we achieve with if we bring lots of artists, lots of designers together. And my ambition, why I say I put my gallery on hold. That was my ambition when I
Hmm.
kind of shut down the gallery because I want to take a step back because it kind of evolved very quickly and it became kind of larger than I thought it would be, and so I put it on hold. So I'm going to take a break for a while, and then I started with all these kind of consulting businesses, and everything went very fast from there. But I just discovered what I like very much is to be able to kind of to collaborate and to work with all the artists, all the gallerists, and as we talked about as well, to bring this closer maybe to someone who's not that experienced with art. And what I do a lot now is kind of, I'm the intermediate between the corporations and the artists or the galleries, and try to see what's the corporate, what they want from this, what do they want from this. It's not just acquisitions, sometimes it's strategy, it's very complex sometimes. And the cream concept is something, I mean, similar. We want to kind of to see what happened. What is the interest from public? What is the interest from the gallerist, from the artists, from the designers? And what happens when we kind of, if we put together everything we kind of like in a way in one big room, what will happen? I don't know. We'll see soon, and I hope
Hmm.
it will be successful. I don't know, but I want to see something that I haven't seen that much locally. I've seen this kind of more internationally, but I feel like it's such an interesting scene here. It would be nice to bring so many kind of people together and see what we can accomplish.
It's going to be super exciting. So really looking forward to it. But listen, Edin, I had this question in my head, curious to explore a bit. When you do these design collaborations with artists, I mean, for example, Alexander Karpilovsky is an artist that you have collaborated with on doing rugs, as an example. Would you say that the creative process is different when you work with artists?
No, not really. I mean, it's always different process working with artists because takes a bit longer time, but no, I would say. I mean, we had, for example, Alexandra, when we made this rug. I followed her for quite some long time, and I exhibited her in our shop. And when I asked her the question, I mean, it was, the answer from her was straight away, yes, let's do it. And then she made an artwork that we both kind of like, this would look great in a rug. And then, we have already had a production going with the rug. So I would say, no, not really. The hard thing today, I mean, we have a design collaboration coming up now for the fall with young emerging artists that we really like and we think fit our brand. And the most complex thing at the moment is finding production. Everything is, it's so takes long time today, and today with, I mean, pandemic and all this other crazy stuff going on in the world, really, I mean, finding wood, for example, at the moment is really, really tough, and transportation, gas prices went up, and so it's so many things around it that makes it more tough than the actual collab, I would say. Yeah.
No, I understand. So, yeah, the whole supply chain manufacturing part is a
It's a
huge
nightmare.
challenge because of the
Yeah.
war, because of the yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
So, but what I reflected on, I mean, just looking at this specific collaboration with Karpilovsky, is that you also got a lot of PR coming out of it, and even covers of magazines, and it kind of felt to me that, combining art and design in such a way makes it more PR worthy, right? It's easier to kind of display a rug on the cover of a magazine if it's
Of course,
an
because then it's
artist that
double.
has kind of designed the rug. Yeah,
You have
exactly.
the actual production part, but also you have the art scene. So I think then it's two people and an entity trying to express ourselves in a way. So I think it's and also because as Jonas said before, that it is a shift. Something is happening in Sweden, and it is this. And also, I don't really have anything to say about this grayish, beige tones, but it feels like people are longing for more color and more avant-garde thing, more crazy stuff. So I think that's also why the Scandinavian magazines, they need stuff like this to write about, because I think also the readers want to read about it, and also the clients are getting younger, and they are online all the time. They do Instagram all day long, not all day long, and they come from creative fields, and they have the information that it's easier for them to find it. So I think it's it goes much faster today, this whole kind of design scene, but also incorporating the art into it, which I think is super interesting.
So will your furniture and your designs become more colorful then?
I don't know. No,
Given
but of
what you
course,
just
no.
said.
But I mean, we bring colorful. We have a pink sofa, a green sofa, and we're adding. No, but it will be more eclectic things. But also, I think the way we put it together, which I think that I really miss. I have the showroom in Palma, which is my sanctuary. I hang art here. I move things around. But what I really miss is this space, to curate your space and get people happy when they enter. They see furniture, rugs, details, art. And that's something that I think is that's going to be more colorful or more eclectic. Maybe not per se the actual chair, but the whole vibe. And I think talking about Dusty Deco is our DNA and our way of expressing ourselves. That I think hopefully also that other people like, and and that we create something interesting with our setting.
Interesting. All right. Great discussion so far. Jonas, you are very knowledgeable in the world of art. You've been, exhibiting, curating, you support collectors, you write about it, etc. What are the key trends in art at the moment?
I mean, we touched upon this topic, which we kind of be discussing right now, which is kind of objects, and I think it's been going on for a while, but it's we're catching on a bit later, maybe here in Sweden. I think objects, but also, it's been a big shift. I think we saw the shift coming before the pandemic, about younger generational artists. You're not that local anymore. It's like with everything, but art has been very kind of, art is analog. We live in a kind of, it's a physical world, as Edin talked about. Transportation and material. The same thing, where we live in our house, in our physical spaces, and art is very analog. It's physical space. It is tricky. You need to kind of, the white cube is there. You need to, to experience the art is physical presence. But the digital presence is coming very quickly, and I think the NFT discussion and the digital transformation has been amazing to follow. And I think once the hype has kind of calmed down a bit, it's going to be really interesting. And I can see, artists I exhibited 10, 15 years ago, who we couldn't sell. Of course, we couldn't sell the digital works, or even sold some prints. Maybe they can now make a living selling digital NFTs in a way. And I think this kind of digital art has worked like that since the 90s. It's a big transformation there. Sometimes we just talk about this kind of new NFT illustrators for the Photoshop artists, but there's a lot of kind of real, quote unquote artists that can make, for them there's been a big change. And I think, we have to accept the kind of digital transformation that's going on. But it will not be, as complete. Everyone, when you speak to NFT people, they're like, oh, wait, everything's going to change. But art, you're still going to have a sofa in your room for at least the future. It's not, the sofa's not going to be digital. And your art is still going to have physical artworks. So I think, I would say, digital things is happening, and also, objects, I think.
That's kind of interesting. It's the two opposites, really. It's a kind of objectification in the physical space and then digitalization in the same time. So, digital sofas, Edin, is that the trend, or what do you see in the world of design or furniture, or
I think
what are the key
key
trends?
trend. I think the furniture world moves very slow, and I think I don't really would say that is a trend, per se, like actual furniture, a sofa or a chair, but I think it all looks kind of the same. People try to do different things, but I'm so bad with trends, and I don't really, no, but for real, I don't really look so much on what other people do, or, I don't follow design, Instagram accounts, because it slows my procedure down quite a lot. So I don't have a good answer for this. Sorry.
So what do you look into? Okay, fair enough. But what do you look into? What's your current
My
inspiration?
current, it's 70s. Still, I've been into the 70s world for quite some time now. I really like, big fluffy shaggy rugs, and rattan and low furniture, leather, Italian kind of 70s, 60s vibe. I really love that. And I don't really know how to get it into my own kind of brand or world, but that's my main inspiration, I would say, at the moment, furniture-wise. But then if you look on all the stuff around me, it's not 70s at all, but like bamboo thing. I think bamboo is coming again. I think that's something that I really love. And I'm, looking a lot of American designers did bamboo in the 60s, 70s, but also Italian, like Gabriella Crespi and stuff like this, that I think is amazing pieces, but no one makes it. So I think that's my next trend: bamboo objects.
So bamboo objects and NFTs.
That's the future.
Fantastic. So to close this off, do you guys have any kind of names you want to share? Like, are there any hot stars on the scene, something to look out for in addition to what we have already talked about today? Jonas, any names that comes to your mind?
It's just it's so much right now. So I think just kind of keeping an eye on Instagram and YouTube. I like hanging out on YouTube and watching things there. And
What's your favorite YouTube account that you go for?
I like some of those kind of vernissage TV where you can kind of see art shows that you miss or art fairs, and it's nice seeing. It's hanging. You get a glimpse. You can hang around an art fair for like 35, 40 minutes to keep it in the background. You see what the feeling was like being there. And to see some shows. I mean, it's some big institutions are making quite good YouTube channels nowadays, with interviews and lots of kind of archival footage, which is great to see.
Okay, so no names, but browse shows on YouTube. That's a good tip. Edin, any
No, I
names
don't
that
really
you
have any names. I have a few
want to
names
drop?
for Dusty that we are doing for the fall, but I think it's just it doesn't feel right sharing them now. But we have some young, cool designers that will come up for Dusty, but also old, established artists that was in the 30s and the 40s that we're gonna put back to life during the fall. That's exciting. And for art, I've been tending to look a lot on like the eastern part. I mean, there's a lot of things going on in Czech or like Romania and young emerging artists that I think is really, really vibrant and colorful and very exciting. So that's keep an eye for Balkan art.
Interesting. Romania has come up in many conversations I've had in the past 6 months on kind of the most interesting emerging art country. So yeah, maybe we
Let's
should go
go.
to Romania and do a special show of KONST. So listen, guys, time flies. It's been a great conversation. I think it's really interesting, and I think it's a scene, and this kind of interconnection between art and design is something to follow. Let's start with Cream, middle of May. Jonas, what's the date again?
Open from 18th of May for 4 days. Open to public
And
Thursday.
open to everyone?
Open to everyone Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And it's going to be around, I think, maybe 40, 50 different pieces, objects, and around 20, 25
Nice.
creators, arts designers.
Fantastic. So I'll see you there, Jonas and Edin. How can we find Dusty
We
Deco?
find Dusty Deco easiest Instagram, Dusty Deco, or online, dustydeco.com. And if you're
And if one
in
wants to
Palma,
visit the
you
showroom
can
in Palma?
DM on Instagram. That's the easiest. I'll answer, and you're more than welcome to come and join us for a cup of coffee or a glass of wine or something in the showroom.
All right, fantastic. So this was Jonas Kleerup and Edin Kjellvertz, my guests in this episode of KONST, a podcast by Scandinavian Mind about contemporary and future art, the interconnection with society, culture, technology, finance, and lifestyle. In the show notes, you will find all the links to the references we make in this episode. My name is Roland-Philippe Kretzschmar. Thank you.